Las Vegas has always sold itself as a place where you can escape reality. Neon lights, big wins, big shows, and endless entertainment. But here's the shocking headline: tourism is down double digits, hotel rooms are sitting empty, and even tip workers are reporting that their paychecks are being cut in half. And instead of asking the tough questions about why fewer people are visiting, well, the finger pointing has already started at young Americans, at tourists, even at international travelers. But hey, let's get one thing straight. Las Vegas isn't collapsing because Gen Z doesn't gamble. Vegas is collapsing because America itself is becoming unaffordable. And what's happening on the strip? Well, it's a warning sign for the rest of the country. So, just before we dive into the numbers, it's imperative you hit that like button and subscribe so that you get notified the minute we produce another game changing video that affects your finances. And I promise you'll appreciate it. So, buckle up and let's take a deep plunge. So, let's start by explaining that Las Vegas wasn't built on glitz alone. It was built on the promise of affordability: a cheap buffet, a $39 hotel room, and maybe you lose a little at the slots, but you go home with tons of stories. And that was the model. Vegas was never about saving money, it was about feeling rich for a weekend without actually needing to be rich. But that model has quietly eroded. In June 2025, Las Vegas saw 3.1 million visitors. Now, that sounds like a lot until you realize it's an 11.3% drop year over year. Through the first half of this year, visitation is down more than 7% compared to 2024. Occupancy rates have slipped, average room rates are falling, and still the casinos post record revenues. Now, how do they do that? Because the fewer people who do come, well, they're being squeezed harder than ever before. Resort fees that didn't exist a generation ago now add $40 or $50 a night. Parking that was once free now costs $60 a day, and that cheap buffet is now $80. And when nearly every transaction feels like a total shakedown, well, people take notice. So this isn't just about tourism, it's about trust. Vegas used to promise fun at a fair price, but now, well, it feels like you're paying luxury rates for a cut rate experience. And, of course, when people feel ripped off, they simply don't come back. Now, let's talk about the impact. Clark County itself still pulled in $1.16 billion in gambling revenue in June alone, and that's a 3.5% increase from last year. Now, at first glance, you might think, well, they're fine, but look deeper. Those revenues are propped up by extracting more money from fewer people, and that is not sustainable growth. What we're seeing mirrors the broader American economy. Corporations cut perks, raise prices, slash service, and they still expect customers to shoulder the difference. Airlines nickel and dime passengers with bag fees. Grocery stores shrink product sizes while charging more. Landlords raise rents while cutting back on maintenance. And in Vegas, the same formula is now driving visitors away. International travel tells an even darker story. See, visitors from Canada are down 33% year over year, and from Mexico, they're down 22% year over year. Now, that's not just affordability, that, my friends, is perception. The US has become a less appealing destination, both because of the rising costs and because of political and cultural shifts that make people feel unwelcome. And when a city like Vegas, which relies on global traffic, loses the international draw, well, the ripple effects go out fast. And here's another layer: younger generations don't need Vegas in the same way. See, sports betting apps, online poker, and digital casinos, well, they all mean that you can gamble from your own couch. So the idea that you need to fly to Nevada for the privilege of losing money, well, it's simply outdated. Vegas hasn't innovated fast enough to replace that central hook. Now, if this breakdown is hitting home, smash that like button, because in the second half, we're going to look at why Vegas is really a canary in the coal mine for America's economy and what this warning means for you, whether you ever set foot in a casino or maybe not. So, what does all this mean? Well, Las Vegas is more than a tourist city. It's a metaphor for the broader American economy. It runs on consumption, it assumes spending will never stop, and it punishes anyone who dares to slow down. But here's the warning: when you hollow out the experience while raising the price, people adapt and they cut back. They stay home and they find alternatives. And sadly, once they do, well, it's extremely hard to lure them back. And that's exactly what's happening across America. From retail malls to movie theaters to overpriced stadium tickets, the average American is already paying record amounts just to survive. Rent, healthcare, car payments, insurance, all of them gone way up. So the choice between a Vegas weekend or catching up on bills, well, the bills win every time. Now, that's not a failure of consumers, it's a failure of a system that depends on squeezing people harder each year. And that's why Las Vegas is a warning to all of America. Because if the illusion collapses in the desert, well, it can collapse anywhere. See, the strip isn't dying because people stop loving it. It's dying because the version people love, well, it no longer exists. And the companies at the top choose short-term profit over long-term loyalty. So here come my final thoughts. Las Vegas is a canary in the coal mine. If we keep building economies that rely on endless spending while wages stagnate, well, the strip won't be the only thing going dark. So do me a favor. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe, and check out a future video on how I talk about state governments quietly tax hope through the lottery system. It'll change how you see your finances, I promise you. And do me a favor, drop a comment below. Do you think Vegas can reinvent itself, or is this the start of something much bigger? So in the meantime, have a wonderful day, my financial warriors, and I'll see you on the next one.